Hello, welcome to the radius, and my name is Chindi,
Hello, my name is Tabitha.
and today we have a series of topics to
Yes.
discuss. So we're going to start out with uh, what happened when we went on Saturday. We had an opportunity to honorably bury slaves, and I'll say former slaves because they're not slaves anymore, who were buried. 14 of them were found, six women, I think, five infants, and no, I think it's six women. Is it
One adult male,
one adult male, and how many?
5 children, I believe, because what are we now at?
Yeah, it was
11,
four.
and
Yeah,
then
four.
4 infants.
Yeah, and then there were children.
It was a total of 14.
14 altogether. So what happened is that we held a ceremony. One thing I liked about it is the organization of it. It was very well organized. There was a bus to take people to the to this honorable event, and also in addition to that, it was well organized for speakers. It wasn't like random. It wasn't like some people didn't know what to do. The other thing that I think happened was I was quite emotional. I think I was emotional because of what basically took place. But I'll talk more about my emotional aspect of it. Tabs, if you want to talk more about it.
Okay, sure. For our listeners, we are referring to, of course, we gave you a preview that there will be an event on Saturday, June 18th, called Ancestor Appreciation Day, where it was commemorating the fact that there was a burial last year for these 14 souls who were excavated in a building project off of property that belonged to previously the Schuyler family, whom were able to basically sort of reconcile this entire situation. The community came together to do so. Initially, they landed in the New York State Museum. However, there was a concerted effort from the community to get them in the ground, and graciously so, Menands, St. Agnes Cemetery provided a spot for them. We do have pictures and video where the location was, and ultimately, you can get appreciation that they may have had a rough start in life. However, when they were laid to rest, there was some freedom. They were in a high plot that was overlooking kind of like the Rensselaer area. You could see across the river more or less, and it was very wooded and things of that nature. And it was very tranquil and beautiful. And it was proposed to be a rainy day, but however, the sun was out for predominantly the majority of the day.
Yes, and that was very amazing. And we did lay the plaque. I got emotional, but it was a very lovely experience, and a repudiation of the vow system of slavery. Nothing was said about the masters involved, and so that was good. And slaves were not associated with their masters involved. So to me, they were free now, and so anyway, that was the summary. And do you have anything more to say, Tab?
Yes, I will say that it's pretty much very significant because this African burial ground is now a nationally recognized site. I think it will attract an opportunity for people to sort of confront slavery and the human side of slavery, that these were humans that were more or less co-opted into a global, worldwide system that took away their humanity. And I think it provides a very real impact on individuals when they see the human cost of slavery, and not just hearing about it in a few chapters in a book. I think also I have to give credit to the organization that brought this together because they also were able to secure June 19th, now officially in the New York State Legislature's Ancestor Appreciation Day, which it kind of where the coordinators referred to the situation instead of calling it, or alluding to the African aspect of it or the indigenous or the Indians, they called it simply Ancestor to unify everybody. And I feel like this event and that sort of monument promotes a lot of healing. And there was a diverse group of people involved, from the people who owned the cemetery to the groups that was the Historical Society and the people who served on the committee to make that happen. So we thank you for that opportunity. And we'll definitely post some footage and information about that on our site.
All right, definitely. Now, what's the next topic, Tabitha?
So that occurred on Saturday, June 18th, and the following Monday, which was the Sunday, June 18th, that took place, correct?
Yes.
All right, that event took place on the 17th, and then on Monday, the 19th, which is actually Juneteenth, there was an event I helped coordinate with the Family Engagement Department at Albany High, where ultimately the goal was to open its doors and introduce to families that there is a team devoted to promoting family engagement for students and their families. So the event was very nice. There was a small gathering of people who were very concerned parents and very active parents, very resourceful parents. So I thought that was a really good group to come together and meet periodically about this very important issue. I'm there in a community member capacity, as I don't have currently children there. I do have nieces and nephews who've attended, and myself and my siblings have, so I have that perspective from the front seat. There also is many parents, and of course the school, the administrators. So they're trying to bring together all these different elements of the students, the parents, the families, and the school to form a community, really, to confront everything the children need. So I'm excited to be on this committee or team at this time. I'm excited to participate in future ventures that they have. Some things that I took away, that so people should know or would know, and some things I was concerned about, I'll talk about briefly. One thing people may not know is all the tools and resources, at least in our school district, which I imagine many school districts have. There's online resources, they have social media. They have SNN, which is sort of like a school news notifier, so you can be apprised of what happens in our district, and you can isolate whatever schools, or you can select all. There's also many online resources for the parents to monitor their child, where they are currently in the process. With that, however, many parents expressed that were there the desire for more communication. So instead of the school just notifying them, it has to be a dialogue. So if you send something out, how can I ask a question? How can I remark on this? So of course, everyone's going to collaborate and work together to make that better. And a major thing that was missing that people conveyed, and something I even recommended, was that the positive things are not promoted in the media about what occurs at our schools. And I think inner city schools have to have a big PR issue. So the main thing was this parent discussed how, in particular Albany High, the students there have a youth in government program where they are more or less at the forefront of this program, very prominent, and it's unbeknownst to anybody in our community. They're not really getting promoted or anything of that nature. So what I recommended is perhaps to unify these things that happen, these positive things that happen between current students and alumni, is to say we have a mascot, the Falcons. So I was recommending maybe calling it like hashtag Falcon sighting. And this could be something that unifies people and yet turn around and give positive, PR for our school. So not to dwell on that too much, I apologize. However, you will hear more about the family engagement. It did coincide with the book I was so fortunate to come across by Dr. Pearl Miller. Hopefully this will show the right way when you guys are looking at it. Called We Need to Do Better, Changing the Mindset of Children Through Family, Community, and Education. The goal of this book kind of aligns with the goal of the family engagement team. So I'm excited to delve into this and his strategies that he has for doing better in our schools and supporting our children. Because ultimately, I feel like the children who are doing well kind of get all the energy and the squeaky wheel supposedly gets the oil. However, do we not cast away students that we feel are not on a certain track? And really it takes an entire community. So you can't just focus on your child, you have to focus on every child. When one child fails, he has a statistic that we pretty much lose $260,000 worth of income and resources in our community because this person had at least that minimum earning capacity. So we'll talk more about that at a future date.
Definitely. We have, is it National Refugee Day?
It's World Refugee Day.
World Refugee Day.
June 20th, 2017.
Blundered right there. But World Refugee Day. Can you talk briefly about World Refugee Day and delve into that also as well?
Well, the plight of refugees worldwide is such that they're currently understandably about approximately 65 million. To give a frame of reference, that's like 2 states, maybe Texas and Georgia, to combined basically being in a refugee nationless state of kind of just being transient, so to speak, not really having a home through the main cause being war. However, there are individuals who are escaping persecution. There's even some numbers about people from the LGBTQ community not being able to stay in their homes. So it kind of impacts a huge cross section of our society. There's actually countries with the largest populations are the ones that we consider to be the conflict countries right now. The ones we hear about all the times on the news. What people don't think about is the children and the families that are displaced as a result of this.
So I was looking at not World Refugee Day, and I was thinking about it, and I have happened to know individuals who are actually refugees or are asylum applying for refugee status, and the experiences of what they went through is just, it's very, you can feel for them, but in a way you can never really be in their place because it's just such a horrifying experience, really. And so I think we would recommend that you check up on this day, you see what the experiences of refugees are. I think the way to look at this day, the World Refugee Day, is to actually do your own research on refugees and their experiences and what they go through. I mean, you see in Europe how sometimes they're treated, and these are people escaping war. Some of these wars that, to be frank, we may have caused sometimes. Our countries have gotten involved in these conflicts. For example, some refugees come from Iraq, believe it or not, where we got involved, or Syria, where we are involved. And so we have to remember when we meet that refugee on the streets that partially could be our government or our organization, or we could be, in a way indirectly impact them and try to help them out really the best way we can. And that's what I try to do when I meet refugees out there, is to try and help them the best way I can.
Agreed. I think also confronting that reality is huge. I think that we really want to, as a show, stretch everyone outside of their boundaries of understanding about something. And instead of, to your point, being fed what you should feel and think about this topic and about these countries and where people are emerging from, get to the human side, find out the plight. There are many stories of people who have their journeys and they discuss, as a refugee, I got here. There are many people, I think, actually, Steve Jobs would not be possible if there were not, refugees, because his adoptive parents.
Yes, he was a refugee, actually. I think he was. Apparently, he was adopted, so that didn't happen.
There would be no Apple.
There would be no Apple, I guess.
Another thing about World Refugee Day, and I think everything is kind of unified here, and goes back to our point about how so many things are connected. Really, we attended an event on Ancestor Appreciation Day on June 17th that coincided with essentially this global process of slavery that, for the people of African descent that were involved at the time, not that slavery only existed at that time, were involved more or less in a worldwide moth of their culture, of their society. There was a destruction of their culture, civilization. There was a family breakdown. Who's to say these souls that were buried the other day? Because, ultimately, they were nameless through no fault of their own, which is really the thoroughly heartbreaking aspect of it. These souls were, who knows, they were identified genetically as coming from the far-flung reaches of Africa, actually. So they all had different backgrounds. They were not necessarily from this one place. So everyone was sort of stricken and caught up in this. And here we are on the 20th, World Refugee Day. And it's like the modern conflict or issue of our day. And, where do we stand on this? Do we want to sort of let it perpetuate like slavery did for far too long? Or do you want to get abreast of what's going on and sort of have solutions and things of that nature? So that's what we ask, and that's what we are considering today.
Okay. Do you have any closing remarks to say about this before we close down?
Just again, with the way these topics unify together, my observation is about where do you stand on these issues? Your community school, do you not have a child in that district? Do you, things of that nature? Do you have an investment in it? Just like we have an investment in what goes on in the world with refugees, because it's our stability that's at stake worldwide. Stability is progress, stability is growth. And again, confronting Slavery is something that we don't do often enough. We only confront it or approach it one way. And I love how the lens was shifted from, the political aspect of it to the human side, humanizing slavery. So people, I think it's hard to come across without a real understanding that this was an inhumane practice, and we really need to confront it as a society and do some healing there.
All right, and I do thank you, everyone. We've learned a lot from the last few talks. I hope you can get some information, do some more research on this. We at the Radius Project will continue to discuss different topics. Some of the topics will be discussed. It won't be as serious as this sweet topics were.
No, right?
But we will
It's the time of
definitely try. We will try to mix it up. So definitely check up on us. And if you have any comments, please feel free to comment on our section below. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.